Welcome to the Outside the Business Boxes podcast, where we're talking about how to ignite your business today for the future using systems for everything you do in your business to make your life, your employees' lives, and your customers' lives easier for you to ultimately enjoy your business and, of course, make more money. I'm your host, Chad Murray. Thank you for coming Outside the Business Box podcast. I am Chad Murray, your host that knows the most, maybe not nothing, but we'll see how that goes today. You know, we're going to get in some trouble today. Listen at your own risk, because today what I want to talk about is mindset when it comes to hiring, firing, staffing. I was actually in the middle of my session with my ghostwriter who's writing my book today, and it's amazing how my mind works. I mean, it's sometimes like completely shut off, and sometimes it's just so, I don't know where I come up with some of the stuff I do that it just pops in my head. There's actually a name for that. And I forget what it's called. It's great research for my podcast, right? It's something to do with it. You get thoughts in your mind. It's some type of intellectual enlightenment type stuff. But I mean, not that I'm so intellectual guru or anything, but you know how, when you're on and things just start popping in your head and ideas. I mean, it's called innovation, revolution, everything, all that kind of stuff. And I had that today. So kind of came up with a new little phrase I like. When we're dealing with how to staff your company properly so that you never are in trouble with the fact that you're understaffed and you don't have, the right accountability tools, because you rely too much on key man people. And so there was a post today. It was actually by a client of mine, his employee, who he went through my sales system and is knocking it out of the park. But he put it out there today that they were using the point system, and their other sales guy, has been sleeping in and finally got to the point where he was, he should be canned now. He just, pretty much, he says that it's not a culture suck and all that kind of stuff in the post. But quite frankly, how can it not be? If one of your main guys is constantly late, and whoever knows what else he's doing, he's just not accountable to the system. And the question was, his deal out of the post was, what should we do here? I mean, should I do the ultimate deed and can this guy? And a lot of people are saying, hold true to your system. I even said that in my long comment. But what's the real issue here? The real issue is you got to this point, right? What are you going to do about it that doesn't hurt your business? What have you done to where it doesn't hurt your business? If, there's a part of the account appointing system that's out there that Mark Stoner preaches and likes to do and loves and helps people even implement it with how to do it. I don't like it. And it's not that I don't like Mark's system. It's just that I never needed it. Now, I probably did need it at times, and I wish I had it back then. But the fact of the matter is, I was kind of and we've all been in this position like this company to where it's a key man. He's your number one sales guy. He's really bringing in the bucks. And it takes so long to find that person to replace him and that person that can just step in his shoes. But that's just it. That's the problem. You don't have somebody that can step in that guy's truck, and that guy knows it. There's the problem. There's the real problem. As a smaller company, you're not putting, and I'll tell you, here's where my enlightenment came as I was talking to my ghostwriter, is labor equals profit, not cost. Think about that phrase. We think as labor as cost. When you really think about labor as profit, you really can start the system of hiring a little extra, because that little extra will actually pay for itself. How much is a new guy generally? $700-800 a month or a week. If you're not making $700-800 a week extra to be able to afford that, because the fact of the matter is that one guy, even in training is generally going to speed some stuff up and help make some sales, or help some, if it's not a sales guy, let's just say it's a crew member. He's going to help you. I mean, even if you got a guy just mixing mortar, or a guy, filling up buckets of water, or a guy carrying in wire if you're an electrician, either way, it's true. It's labor that's going to be beneficial to the timing, and then once they get off in their own truck, he's going to make you money. The fact of the matter is, you should always have someone ready to replace, or at least close to ready to replace, anybody in your business, that especially if it's a key man. And it's so hard to do. I mean, it's the new concept for me in the last couple of years, and we're still working on it. I mean, but labor equals profit, not cost. If you look at it like that and come to the realization of, wow, I really do need to hire. Now, to shift focus a little bit, I get it's hard to hire right now. I totally get it. But you also stop hiring and you go back and forth from probably starting it up and stopping it and letting it lapse for a little while, and that's the problem. You got to keep it on. It's got to stay on. You just don't know who's going to call you. I mean, I personally don't like hiring over chimney sweeps, but let's face it, if I had a guy who at least sent a resume in that he was a certified chimney sweep, now this is a dream guy, so I don't know if this has ever happened, but let's just say this is the case. Because if I wasn't hiring, he wouldn't know to come to me unless he just picked me out of the market because I'm one of the largest companies, or I am the largest company in Texas and Oklahoma. Other than him doing that, I would not have found him. So if I kept hiring him, I'm going to get these apps. But let's talk about it. What if he's a guy? What if he's a guy literally from, one of the big companies, out there, or even a smaller company, and the guy kicks ass with sales. He's a good employee, and his wife gets transferred here, and they decided to pursue her dream or something like that. I have had a couple of people outside the business, and they find out that they moved to Texas, and I'm like, well, why are you here? What happened at your last job? And they're like, well, my wife's a nurse, and she got a better job at making $8 more an hour with a better opportunity to climb a better ladder, and we moved our family here. And then he was like a blue collar worker, and I've had that guy before. Now, I've never had the guy that did it that was in the industry, but if I were hiring all the time, which we do now, obviously, we would never find this guy possibly. So I mean, you got a budget. I've totally shifted from Indeed way over and Craigslist to completely doing Facebook. The ads are working good. Last 2 weeks, we've had probably, 15 to 20 applicants come through. I haven't done my Monday call yet. Today's Monday. I normally record on Sunday, but I was at the cabin yesterday and it was Easter, so I decided to not record till today. I have not checked in to see where our hiring quotas are right now, but I know that I constantly get notifications on my phone from Facebook that people are messaging back and forth, and I see all my managers messaging back and forth. So it looks to be robust and working right now. And quite frankly, the whole idea here is truthfully to have a guy or two in training. I don't care if you're a 2-truck company. Have a guy in training. Have that helper that if the main guy you have just quits, that you can still put this guy, give him the keys, and trust him to go out and do it. Now, I get it that you may not have that guy right now, so you got to hire someone or 2 people, whatever, put them in trucks to be helpers with the ambition of learning and being the next truck as you expand, or at minimum be the truck if the guy calls in sick, or you now say, I've had enough of your shenanigans. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on the way in your ass on the way out. So I mean, that's probably, seriously, I was talking to Bob. That's my Bob the writer, we call him, my ghost writer. And today I was thinking, it's one of the biggest things I think in my business that I never caught on to was I should always be hiring. I should always be looking for the next guy, even when I'm not hiring. I mean, you can just totally up your game if there's someone in the wings sitting there being trained. And quite frankly, you can find out really quickly if the guy's good. Now, it's a smaller company, I get how it's hard, but seriously, if you don't have someone in training and you only have 2 trucks, half your business is cut in half if someone leaves, right? It's a dangerous spot to be in. I mean, we always talk about if you get hurt, right, and you're a key man, you are the key man in your own business. Well, let's make that into your first big truck. Your next guy down below the totem pole who really becomes a key man for you. Let's say that guy gets hurt or that guy quits. Well, you're right back to where you were, except for you get to interact and help because it's not you that quit or got hurt. But still, you should have that guy in your business that is ready to jump into these positions. I mean, obviously you have support. You don't really need an extra call center person if you're staffed right. Maybe you do. Maybe you're not staffed right, and this will get you to thinking that you do need that other person in the call center. And by God, if you don't have a call center, somebody answering the phones, shame on you. If you're a single operator out there, even you should go hire someone for $600 a week to answer your phones. And as much as you think that's a headache, I'm telling you, they will make 2-3 more appointments a week that you couldn't have made, and that pays for them. I mean, let's face it, in blue collar business, generally one appointment pays for a call center person a week. So, but yeah, I mean, labor equals profits. I mean, if you always think of labor as cost, that's a big mindset block. It's a bottleneck. And you really got to get yourself in trouble and overhire a little bit. And if you need one, sometimes you just might need to hire 3 to get to that one. And then if you get lucky where you hire 3 and all 3 are awesome, let's say you're a 3-man company. Okay, 3-man company. You literally are 3 people. If you can add a helper to each one of your guys, how many more jobs could they do a week? How much faster could they be? Even if you're on the eat and kill your own stuff, meaning the guys are selling and they go do their own work. Give them a helper now. Wow. All of a sudden, they can do more jobs because now the time cut on production is faster. The time on inspections, the time on sales is faster, more robust, quicker, better quality time with the client. All that kind of stuff. It's faster. And so now you take a 2-truck company and you just added 3 people to it. Let's just say 2 don't work out. Okay, well, you didn't pay that much for 2 to work out. You're still hiring until you got those people going. And so once you get one guy that's good, he ain't going nowhere, you're still finding another guy. So maybe, you're just always hiring to get that next person that can take anyone's job at any time out on the field. Now, all of a sudden, your 2-truck company, 2-person in 2-truck company now has 4 or 5 people in a truck, right? 4 or 5. And in 2 months from now, those other 3 guys, if they stick, if you found those 3 guys, or a minimum 2 guys that are helpers, they're not dummies. They can do pretty much everything that he did. And you go find a helper if you don't already have a helper for them. That's why you hired 3. So when you have that 3rd guy, when something happens, now you still have 2 loaded fully trucks going. And then let's just say all 3 guys make it and they're all good. Well, you take the best of the 3, you go get a 3rd truck. Right? I mean, come on, we're in the chimney business. Every one of you in the chimney business could triple your truck output in the fall. Triple it. All you people that are like in landscaping and plumbing and stuff, spring and summer, you can triple your business too then. This is how you do it comfortably, although you feel like labor is cost. Labor is not profit. Labor is profit. Now, I'm saying this strategically, obviously, right? I mean, I'm not saying hire 5 people. You do need to go through the system, making sure you're hiring the right people. I mean, I disc people, all my own clients. I disc their guys, their people for them. As a matter of fact, I got a client down in Austin, Texas, and they sent me over a disc profile for an admin. And it got lost of whose company this was for. So I honestly did not know through the disc email, couldn't tell where the company was out of. So I had to start a different program to start making sure they put the owner of the business email in, and they can forward the disc over to them. But this was just some random person. I couldn't tell what there was. So what I did was, it did have the phone number in there. So I looked at the phone number, and it was an Austin number, and I figured that it was there. So I sent it over to them, and they said yes. And when I saw this profile, it was the absolute perfect admin profile. It just was. And I'm like, hire. I haven't met this person, but on paper, if I were a robot, this person would be hired. That's how good they are. I mean, on paper. And so from a test. And so, yeah. You really do have to take in your own mind. I know it's not a risk for you because I've been through it. I've been through hiring and overhiring, overtraining, overstaffing. And a matter of fact, I don't care what time of year I do that in. Whenever I finally end up being overstaffed, I make money and I profit even more. It's literally that simple. I mean, if you're a business listening to me, and I don't care if you have 5 trucks, 3 trucks, 8 trucks, if you're booked out more than a month, you need to hire. Shame on you, slap yourself. Look to the guy next to you in the truck, listen to his pocket, let him slap you. Go ahead and message me how much it hurt. You need to be slapped. You should not be more than a month booked out, except for if you have issues with getting product other than that's out of your control. If it's within your control, being a month booked out, and to me, 3 to 4 weeks is perfect. If I could stay 3 to 4 weeks every year, that would be awesome. Right now, the crappy time of year in April, my business is booked out about a week. I wish I was booked out 2 more. In the fall, we're booked out 3 to 6. But you know, I don't even like being booked out like that. You know, we only stay booked out 6 weeks for probably about 2 weeks. Or excuse me, 2 months. And then January comes and we start catching back up, and then into February a little bit. But I got to tell you, if you don't start, like I have the program of scheduling for profit. That's where you must know your schedule, and I don't mean your QuickBooks. You got to know your production number last week, this week, and next week. Well, and you think about it, and the way I have when I coach people is you got to have these numbers down for how to coach your business. How to scale your business. If you have 2 trucks right now, okay, and you look at your trucks, and right now, let's say those trucks are bringing in $4,000 a week apiece. Well, that's not that great, but okay, you're doing $8,000 a week, right? Okay, but you're booked out 2 months. Well, you can easily afford to hire people to get them in an easy truck quickly, and then train a little bit more later. And then you can get out there and help. See how really the way that easy truck works in the off season is you get them up to snuff on the easy stuff, and then you strategically schedule it on the harder stuff for them to learn, or you book them for the hard stuff, and you have someone go out there and train them how to do it on job. That's how we train crews. And so generally in my business, though, when we do an easy truck in the fall, we haven't actually, I mean, we've been fortunate. We haven't really had any new crew leaders now in over 2 years. We've kept the ones we have. We were able to branch off some crew members to be crew leaders last year, which worked out. Now they're all back. We're back to where they're helpers again, but they're ready to and chomping at the bit to be back to being crew leaders. We didn't cut their pay though. But yeah. As you know, you got to do this all before season, before your really busy time. The funny thing is everybody's, well, how do I train them, especially in the chimney business? And well, let's face it, it's not that hard to do a mortar crown. It's not that hard to do everything properly for a lot of the easier stuff. It is not rocket science. You can put someone right now, hire them. By the time June comes around, they can be putting caps on, waterproofing, crown coats, flash seals, tuck points on the inside, a damper, outside mount dampers, lintel packings. Yeah, just the little stuff. But they can really ease up, and you can start. You can take one crew, and you can literally go give them about $12,000 to $15,000 worth of work a week. I mean, that's how we schedule it. They usually end up doing. I'm sorry, probably 8 to 10. 8 to 10 per a truck of two guys going out to do easy truck stuff. My harder guys do anywhere from 10 to 17,000 a week, and so that's per crew. And so there's always that number. How many sales guys do I need per crew? It's such a to me it's, and I don't mean to be rude or anything, and I'm not trying to take this out of context. It's a stupid question, and I'll tell you why. I think it's a stupid question to have a ratio because I've got guys that can do way more different stuff than other guys. And so it's really hard for me to say, well, I can have two of these trucks for this sales guy. It doesn't work that way. I mean, I have heard some things lately about having, and people thought it was a good idea to start teaming up a sales educator / sweep with just the certain crews. Well, that in a perfect world, that would work if they could do everything. I mean, in my world, they can't do everything. When we have a thermocrete machine, I only got 2 crews trained on that. I'm not going to go train 7 crews to do that. I don't need to because they're really good at it. And you mess up that machine with one bad cleaning to go to the next day or the next one later that day, you just ruin the machine. And the actual thermocrete machine is easy to use, but takes a long, arduous whatever to get it cleaned. It's hard. And so if not done correctly, we just took a $25,000 machine out of production and we're not relining or resurfacing chimneys, which sucks. So we don't do it. We only have 2 guys that know how to do it properly to do it right. So, but I look at that and you think of labor equals profit. Okay, so those trucks profit me more because of the jobs they do, but I have different crew levels of competence on what they can do and do well. And so, like that same crew that goes out and does thermocrete, they don't rebuild hardy board chimneys. All of my crews can do that. So, I mean, we're very fortunate that we've trained everybody to do that, and they all do it. There's times in the springtime where every one of the crews is on one of those for the week, or we're literally building 7 of them a week. That does occur in the Dallas and Houston area. So I think your mindset needs to be altered a little bit when you start looking at, well, how do I get my business to run better? And it's not just about systems. It is literally about having enough people to hold the systems accountable. I think that's a big cog that people miss. If you literally are relying on one person, even if, I mean, let's just say you have a 5-truck company and you don't have someone to back up that 5th truck. Well, let's say that guy quits in October. Well, you're screwed if you don't have anyone to step in his place, right? You're screwed. You're down to 4 trucks. You have to go out and be a truck if you're off the road already. Well, now all of a sudden your busy season, you're not running the company's running you because you're truck number 1 now. So what would it be like if you could have those extra guys out, and as helpers that you literally can create a new crew from the other guys. And then you just go hire more, and this sounds bad, and I think about this, but we call new helpers monkeys just because we don't put any effort into them when it comes to teaching them anything but the new stuff, the right stuff. So it's kind of funny, we call them, we just go hire more monkeys. But monkeys turn into very, very good technicians, and then they get a name. I'm joking, but we do call them monkeys, and because they literally are climbing up all. The reason that came from, we call them monkeys, is because they're climbing up all over bringing stuff up and down, and they look like monkeys sometimes because they're doing a million things as fast as they can, especially when you get a good one, and it's really funny. So. I wasn't the one that coined that phrase. Someone a long time ago in my business did, and we just kind of laughed and kept it that way. And it's just a funny little, we need more monkeys. And so that's our helpers. So anyway, mindset of labor equals profit, not cost. Labor is not cost. Labor is what makes you profit if you schedule it right. And you've got to prepare for the guy that says, F you, I'm out of here, I quit. Or he's F youing your culture. You know, I mean, anybody that, let's just say you have a point system, and if they get up to 10 points in my mind, I'd already fire them. I already would. Now, I know the last 2 years, because of COVID and hiring shortages and stuff, it has been much harder to hire. But I'm telling you, at least me, back when I ran my company, I just wouldn't put up with it. I'd figure it out. You know, the one thing about when you do fire a key man, what happens to your business? You go in overdrive to figure it out. And that overdrive sometimes is what ass kicking you need to understand that I didn't need that guy. I didn't need this bullshit. And all of a sudden you find out that your number one guy really was probably your fourth guy. Really wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't that great. And apparently, and sometimes as I coach people, they don't really know their numbers, and we start pulling them up there. I would say most companies that have 4 trucks or less, they're shocked at what the numbers are, who's really on the totem pole to be the highest guy. It's typically not the guy they think it is. He's number 2 or 3. And occasionally I found out that they were last. And I mean, yeah, you've been relying on this guy, and maybe he knows how to do everything, but he's slow, or he's a 4-day work week guy. You know, he just doesn't show up on Fridays or Mondays. You know, all that kind of stuff. And so you've got to have backups for that. And the way to do it, when people really trying to figure out how to do it, is if you staff right, it'll eventually catch up to where you have more people trained than you don't. That anyone, you could pull the trigger on letting anyone go. That's your ultimate goal is to get to there. Is to get to where you can say, get out and go. Meaning, get out of here, that dude, new guy, or not new guy, but guy ready to go out and give him the keys. You go get in his truck and go make it happen. That's the way you do it. If anyone has a better way, I mean, feel free to message me. I'm always interested to see what someone else has. But when it comes to scaling, it's all about making sure the system's there, putting the right people in it, and then having a backup for those key men, you know, those key positions. And so obviously sales and sweeps in our industry and crew members are huge, you know, and some of you may even need that extra second person in the call center to help you know your numbers and help do that. I mean, that's where I train a lot of people, a lot of business owners. Well, I don't have time to do my numbers, even if I'm not a truck, or I'm not good at that. Well, it's the who, not why, right? And so that's why. Who, not why. Why, not who. Whatever. Who, not. It's who you put in the system, and that's not the why. That's exactly what it is. So once you've got you got a guy that can train everybody to do anything, give him a guy or 2 to learn everything he knows just from osmosis. You know, he doesn't even necessarily have to have a handbook to train him how to do everything. That's your job. You ask them to tell him, make sure that they know how to do this, and this, and blah, blah, blah. And you keep that on your agenda to make sure that they are learning and not just mixing mortar while the guy's up there doing stuff or whatever. You know, make sure that they have a list of stuff that you want them to know by a certain amount point, and that way it's getting done. And so, I mean, you've got to start somewhere, and that's where you start. Start with hiring people and putting them extra in a truck, and then that's the way it goes. So guys, I mean, that's my podcast today. So I really wanted you to get that mindset of it's okay. You're going to make money. Labor equals profits. So with that, thanks guys for listening. I can't wait to see you and listen to you, or you listen to me next week. Take care and God bless.